Hello and welcome to the Typical Boro podcast. We've gone early this weekend after Middlesbrough stayed top of the championship. As always, alongside me I have Graham Bandy. You alright, Graham?
All good. Good to go yet again. Come on, bring it on.
No John Cutler today, he's busy today. So I've got a replacement, or should I say a special guest. He's back, he's been on before. It's Mr. Simon Blower. Welcome back, Simon, to the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. What a good time to join.
Welcome,
fantastic.
Si. All good.
Fantastic. Middlesbrough obviously back in the championship. We're all buzzing. We're going to discuss all that and more. But before we discuss the game, yesterday, before the kick-off, Middlesbrough initiative campaign to support Cancer Has No Colours. I thought it's worth mentioning. Last night, Boro shared stories, remembered loved ones, and supported families impacted by cancer. 12-year-old Darcy handed the match ball to the officials. Darcy had lost her mum to cancer a few years ago. Boro had representatives from the Bradley Lowry Foundation, Zoe's Place, and the RVI in Newcastle. They had done the player walkouts, which was brilliant. And the match day mascot was 10-year-old Evie, who recently lost her nana to cancer. I thought it was a truly wonderful campaign and brilliant for the club to support that. Simon, great initiative by the club.
Yeah, amazing, Dicko and Bandy. I think you guys know it's something very, very close to my heart. My little girl's got leukemia at the moment, and she was actually asked to be involved last night, but not quite well enough to be. But yeah, I got a big lump in my throat before the game, and I think, I think it's really, really important. We reflect a lot on this podcast about what you guys do about the club and things that do well and things that don't do so well. But I think one thing that's always amazing about Middlesbrough Football Club is, we do look after our own and we do remember them and we do support them. And yeah, I just watched the Sky coverage back this morning and just seeing some of the players with some of the children that had to be pushed out onto the pitch and the families at the side and knowing personally what some of those families have been through or are going through. So, I wanted to give a big shout out to Yvonne Ferguson, one of the hidden gems behind the scenes, I always say. I'm sure you guys know her, but she's amazing, what she doesn't do for Middlesbrough Football Club. So, yeah, big shout out to the club, big shout out to Yvonne, and, yeah, big shout out to all those brilliant families that are, supporting loved ones during this time. So, yeah, thanks for mentioning it, Dicko.
Yeah, well said, Simon, and well done, Yvonne Ferguson and Middlesbrough Football Club from everybody at the podcast. So, Middlesbrough 2, West Bromwich Albion 1. A rockin' Riverside, 27,803 turned up last night. Superb atmosphere, in my opinion. Really enjoyed it. Team news, there was 3 changes. Darragh Lenihan come out the team for Edmondson. Kaly Sene come out the team for David Strelec, his home debut. And Morgan Whittaker dropped to the bench for Sevan Apan. So 3 changes to the game. Obviously Middlesbrough won the game, fantastic. Stat that I seen after the game, most points after 6 games in Middlesbrough's history. 16 points, from the 6 games. Absolutely brilliant. Beats past efforts from the 1986-87 Bruce Rioch team in the old Division 3. Brian Robson's team, 1994, 14 points as well. 2011-12, 14 points. 2018-19, 14 points. So well done to the team. Well done to Rob Edwards. That's a club record after 6 games for Middlesbrough Football Club. I'll come to you, Bandy, on the team news. And obviously your thoughts on what was a really, really good first half.
Yeah, to be honest, I thought it was a fairly cagey affair. It reminded me of a game of chess. 2 good sides trying to work each other out and not wanting to overcommit early on. So the longer we sort of stayed at 0-0, we could sort of grow into the game and get a feel for it. And then obviously we broke the deadlock with Strelec getting his first goal on his home debut, which was absolutely brilliant. I saw Aylin's interview after the game, which pleased me because he mentioned that goal, that they'd been working on that manoeuvre in training. They wanted to carry it out last week at Preston, but circumstances didn't allow us to because of the way the game flowed. But they tried it last night. I believe Si said that Edmondson was called up to actually come up the pitch to take the throw-in to get that trajectory. And Aylin, which he's been doing all season, has been getting these front post flick-ons. And then once that ball is flicked on, anything can happen. And Strelec was obviously earmarked to be the first man on the spot. Johnny on the spot. A goal that a certain Bernard Joseph Slaven will be proud of, I think. So that
Absolutely.
pleased me immensely to see something like that come off, and then that gave us the platform to kick on a bit more confidence. We had a few more sporadic attacks, but we've got to give West Brom credit. They made it really, really difficult for us. And as I say, we did have to find our feet in the game. We were trying the same things, but we just came up against a solid side. Probably the best team we've played this season, I think. But we overcame them, which was superb. And can I also mention it's Dicko's birthday today, everybody, but he's keeping quiet about it.
26 again, yeah, I know.
Happy days.
Happy birthday, Dicko.
Happy
Cheers.
birthday, Dicko. Good man.
Simon, on Bandy's thoughts in the first half, I was quite impressed, like Graham, with West Brom. I had a funny feeling Middlesbrough might take them apart last night. You know, I was encouraged by the attacking lineup that Rob Edwards had put in place, and I thought if we get at them and score the first goal, we could take them apart. But they were a better side than I give them credit for. I thought they played really well. I don't know how much Middlesbrough having to change things around at the back during the game affected Middlesbrough. I think it did. What were your thoughts on West Bromwich Albion last night in the first half?
Yeah, I thought their shape was really good. I think they as Bandy said, it felt like it was two teams that were pretty evenly matched, to be honest, that knew each other's game. And you could sort of see what Ryan Mason's trying to do there, I think, probably in a slightly more almost methodical way, dare I say it, than probably the previous manager at West Brom. They look solid at the back. They're a big team, so I'm actually not surprised in the end they scored from across, because the first throw in that they had, or the first long throw that they had, the corner, I suddenly looked them man for man. It's when you notice Dale Fry missing, to be honest. We suddenly looked not a particularly tall team, and I thought that was going to be more of a problem than it was in the end. But the only thing I would say, and actually they kept the ball a lot. Did they necessarily? They got through in the very first minute. Great save from Bryn. But I thought there was a danger that they overplayed at time, and actually chatting to a few of their fans in the petrol station on the way home, that was the criticism that they had. They thought they showed us too much respect. I think they changed their shape specifically for the game, and they felt actually that they had probably slightly more attacking players on the bench that they maybe didn't utilise early enough. So I was impressed with them. Like Bandy, I thought they were the best team we played, and I don't think they'll lose too many games for the rest of the season. I'd be surprised if they're not up there in the top six come April, May time.
So Middlesbrough going 1-0 at half time. Everybody's happy. When new marksman Strelec is off the mark. Great poacher's goal, like Bandy says, Bernie Slaven-esque. Teams come out second half. No David Strelec. I was like, don't say we've got another injury. Can't believe it. On comes Kaly Sene. You could hear people talking around you in the stadium. Is he injured already? What's happened? Some people were saying he was tired. Blah blah blah. Surprised by that, Graham? Half-time substitution for Strelec for coming up with Kaly Sene?
I was, yeah. I was thinking exactly the same as you. But I think now we've learned to not doubt Rob Edwards, because every decision he's making, it's proving justified. He brought a new striker on and he scores. So kudos to Rob Edwards. Brilliant decision. He's later come out and said that he saw the game slightly different to maybe what the fans saw, because he sort of looked for openings in that second half. As I say, it was a cagey affair. The goal just basically broke the deadlock. That's it. I don't think we were any better after that. It was just a very, very tense game. And obviously bringing on Kaly Sene, it just opened up a little bit for us, and they were pulled around a little bit more, which then gave opportunity for on-rushing tens, midfielders, whatever you want to call them these days, to find them little gaps. And it proved vital for us with Kaly Sene's goal. We managed to get bodies forward, create that fantastic sort of pinball action on the right side of that pitch to get the ball into the box for Kaly Sene to finish. It was like watching prime Barcelona at that point against Newcastle the other night. It was brilliant. What a goal that was. That was exquisite. And absolutely, yeah. I think I've watched it so many times. It's still hard to get your head around how many times the little wall passes are played. I think there's about 8 players involved, and Kaly Sene actually starts it with a little ball out wide, plays a little wall pass off. I think it could be Britton, who pushed right up, and then makes his way into the box. It finds Tommy. Tommy lays it to Hackney. Hackney does a little sort of reverse sweep, and he just hits it. He only has a small gap to put it into as well, and he's clipped it in off the post. So brilliant goal, and great to see, his confidence up. He looked a little bit like a fish out of water for me at West Brom, because I think he was played out of position, but he's staked a claim now as a striker. It was a brilliant goal.
I thought Middlesbrough, to be fair, second half, I thought we struggled a little bit to find a way. I think Edmondson coming off with that black eye of his, he looked like Rocky Balboa
It's
after
a
the
beauty,
match.
that, isn't it? Yeah.
It was some shiner for Edmondson. He come off. I thought it disjointed a little bit because obviously Silveira comes on. He doesn't really go down the line. He likes to cut inside. So we lost Matt Targett in that position. He come inside to play a centre back. Strelec has come off. Kaly Sene's come on. He's a different player. And I thought the changes initially just sort of unsettled a little bit. And I thought West Brom got a foothold in the game and were looking dangerous. And they put, like Simon said, I thought West Brom were a little bit toothless, really. They had a lot of the ball. They put a lot of crosses into the box.
Yeah.
But in terms of shots on goal, there was two good saves in the game by Sol Bryn, but I don't think West Brom done quite enough. Their fans obviously be disappointed with that because they did have a lot of time on the ball to pick out people from wide areas and they didn't do so. But I thought Middlesbrough lost the way a little bit second half, but showed grit and determination. In the moment of the game, for me, was that second goal that you've just described, because I think Middlesbrough were looking to show things up. I think Brown was getting ready to come on into the midfield, and we're going to change it up a little bit tactically. And when we got that second goal, it just gave with that foothold in the game, and it ignited the stadium again, because I think Middlesbrough fans could see that West Brom were getting back into the game and getting a foothold in, and it was becoming a bit tetchy. And that second goal just, the noise in the stadium when the second goal went in was just absolutely epic, and it just, all that tension, just, we've got a 2-goal lead now, we've got something to hang on to. You could feel the belief going through the stadium that West Brom might have got one back into the game. They're not going to get two, because Rob Edwards' team, like, again, I'm going to mention, they remind me of the Karanka team. You knew if you went 2-0 up under Aitor Karanka, you weren't going to lose the game. And I think I get the same vibes now under Rob Edwards' Middlesbrough as I did under Aitor Karanka's Middlesbrough, Simon.
Yeah, so just a couple of observations. It was really interesting. I sat in a different part of the stadium yesterday. I sat sort of lower west, not far from the bench, and I think what really fascinated me yesterday was how we made changes. You mentioned the half time, but even before that, as soon as we scored, you may have noticed we changed shape straight away. He pulled Tommy Conway across. We went to a 2 up top. He pulled Naipan in and we almost had Morris sitting as a 6 with Naipan and Hackney as 2-8s, with then 2 strikers up front, just to try and compact the middle of the pitch a little bit. Now, where we then suffered is we had 2 strikers that aren't the quickest, and we didn't have an out ball, really, which is why I think he made that change at half-time, because he realised if we were going to play 2 up top, we needed legs, and, Strelic's obviously got strength, but I'm not sure he's the quickest. So, yeah, that was fascinating, and exactly the same, as you said, Dicko. As soon as we scored the second, we brought Brown on, we put Naipan up one. I was really, really impressed. And again, watching the assistant coaches, you got Harry Watling, who's out there all the time. Everything from, right, lads, we're going to take a long throw in now, changing shape, to AD, who just seems to sit there and just watch and observe, which, I was a critic of. I thought Michael Carrick was brilliant, but I think he was missing that extra pair of eyes sometimes that just watched the game like a wise old owl. And probably the one, actually, I'd love to sit there at halftime in the dressing room, but I suspect he's the one that goes in a more quiet and calm way, right, we're just going to switch this, where you've got Watling at it the whole game. And yeah, it was fascinating watching the sidelines. And going back to your point, Dick, I feel we've got that confidence in that team now that, I'm one of the nerviest fans watching, but I didn't for one moment actually at 2-0 think we're going to concede 2 goals. Even when they scored that first, we just look like we want to defend. And it sounds crackers because every footballer should want to defend a lead. But, there's at times last season where we didn't look like we wanted to defend, or we didn't care about defending. And, I'd say the one big improvement under Rob Edwards is we just look like we want to defend. And that's really important and will get us out this championship, I think.
It's nice to see defenders do what they pay to do, head it and kick it. And that sounds so simple. But in the second half yesterday, when we were in a little bit of pressure, Matt Targett, who was playing centre-back, just hoofed the ball randomly about 90 foot in the air down the pitch. It was like the Peter Kay advert, have it. And he just, poof, off the ball went down the pitch. And it relieved the pressure, and it got Middlesbrough all pushed up the pitch. West Brom had to reset, get the ball, start again. And sometimes football, it's a simple game, and coaches make it a difficult game, and sometimes you've just got to play that way. I still go back to last season when you had again, Michael Carrick wanting people like Sir George Edmondson to play out from the back. That's not their game. Play to the strengths. And I think if I could give Rob Edwards any credit, that would be my biggest take so far on Rob Edwards. He plays to the players' strengths. He doesn't ask the players to play to his system. And I think it's really important that, especially in the Championship, you're not blessed with world-class players all over the park in a world-class squad. You've got to be able to adapt to the players that you've got, whether that's by asking them to do things that they're good at, or whether it's tactically to set your team up to get the best out of your players. And that's a huge shift change from last season.
You're seeing exactly that issue at Man United with Ruben Amorim. He's asking players to do the impossible. He's got these hell-bent on this system.
Great point.
Works as a system. It works for us because he plays exactly the same system. But I would say in his defence, not in his defence, he hasn't got the players to play that system. Rob Edwards has purposely brought in players to play the system he wants to play. He wants to play right wing back, so he's got Callum Britton. He wants to play left wing back, so he's using Silvera. He's using Target. So it's working a treat for him because he's obviously bought the right players to fit that system.
I saw that midfield attacking conundrum, though. I think Naipan's maybe the one that's causing this. I think he looks amazing, but I thought he actually looked more comfortable playing slightly deeper, I thought. I don't think he quite works as a wide of a three, or, we debated in the fan zone before the game how the front three would set up, didn't we? And I hate to say it, Bandy, but me and Dicko were right that he went Strelec up the middle and Tommy on the left and Naipan on the right. But when we switched to the two, because I'm a critic of Conway at times. I thought he was brilliant last night. His work rate sets the tone for the whole team. He worked his absolute socks off and looked more comfortable having a striker alongside. In fact, a striker slightly ahead of him. Yeah. But I think moving forward, Conway and Strelec with Naipan slightly tucked in as a three, I think will be a better shape for us moving forward. Let's see. But
possibly,
my opinion, the only issue might be then pace. But I do think Naipan's the conundrum of how do we get the best out of what is very clearly a super talented footballer.
Yeah. We brought up that issue last week, Si, regarding Naipan, whether he could play in that whole role that seems to have become redundant these days. The old Juninho role, because I've likened him to Juninho in terms of his twinkle toes and the runs he makes, and how he carries the ball and how he receives the ball and makes delicate little passes. He's a beautiful player to watch. So if we can get the best out of him, then we're in business. But going back to Conway, his work rate last night was standard. That's what he does for me every single week, whether he plays as a 9, a 10, wherever. But what pleases me more is he's happy to contribute, and he's the smile on his face when other players are scoring, not just himself. He's clearly as happy with an assist these days as he is as a goal. So he's buying into this way of supporting your teammates and playing as one rather than as an individual. And he's carrying that team at the moment for me. I think he's absolutely brilliant.
Just on great last night.
Just on how we're playing compared to under Michael Carrick as well. Our 3 home games this season, Swansea first day of the season, we had 54% possession, Simon. Second game, Sheffield United, 47% possession. Then last night for West Brom, 41% possession. So we're not dominating games in terms of possession. In fact, the possession's going down. 9 points from 9 at home. You can't argue with it. And then also the clinical edge that we've got this season so far. Middlesbrough this season, in all the games, the 6 games, we've only had 25 shots on goal, on target in the 6 games, scored 11. I mean, that's a really high percentage at the Championship level to have scored 11 goals from 25 shots. So we don't have the ball as much. We're not having as many shots as last season. However, what we are doing is, when we do have the ball, we're progressive with it, we're clinical with it. And if that continues, we're going to take some stopping, in my opinion.
That system we play sort of backs up the stats, because by playing a back 3 or a 5, when you're out of possession, it does invite teams, it does give the opportunity for the opposition to have a lot of the ball. However, when we win it back, our counter press is absolutely brilliant, and we're getting up the pitch at a rate of knots, and we're getting bodies in the box, and we're getting on the end of things. So yeah, it's brilliant, and it's good to see.
Bandy's just made a great point there, Simon, and I'm going to put this to you. Are Middlesbrough actually more dangerous when we don't have the ball? Because when we win it back, so many times under Rob Edwards, in Norwich springs to mind straight away, when we do win it back, we generally break on teams in numbers with pace and get bodies in the box, which we've been lacking for a long time.
Yeah, I thought his after-match interview was interesting last night. I sensed he was frustrated with bits of the game last night, and I think if you were to really pin him down, I would say he would probably argue 41% moving forward would be too low, and actually we're not going to continue, I don't think, to convert at the rate we are at the moment. So I think there's potentially we want to keep the ball a little bit more, not to the extremes of last year, and I think there's a danger we're not creating enough chances at the moment. But yeah, in answer to your question, Dicko, we definitely look dangerous when we just play in a bit quicker tempo. Dare I say we look fitter? You know, I think that, you know, we're scoring goals towards the end of games. I don't know whether pre-season was a bit different this year. Morris looks like, you know, Morris is the amount of miles he covered. He just looks, I've always liked him, but he just looks a fitter footballer than last year. And I think that's coming into its own. So, and obviously that helps Dicko with things like when you don't have the ball and you win it back quick, right? Let's get up the pitch. Let's get up the pitch as quickly as possible. And I think that's where players like Naipan, who can carry the ball so comfortably across the ground, you know, they're going to come into their own.
Yeah. You mentioned his after-match press conference there, Simon, but the talking point that came from his after-match press conference was concerning the absence of Darragh Lenihan. Obviously, he's been out for 2 years. And his comments after the game by Rob Edwards were, they're managing the situation at the moment. It's such a long time that he's been out. We don't want him to take too many risks. Let's see how the situation goes on. What we don't want to do is put people in unnecessary positions and then we're down to the bare bones. We'll see how he's going, how he is going forward into the next week. We're not aware of any injury at the moment, which I found a staggering line. We're not aware of any injury at the moment. We'll just see how the week goes. There's probably still a bit of fragility there. When you come back from a couple of years out and play in a 90-minute block, a really tough game, we have to try and manage that and get that right. We hope we can have a good week, see how that goes, and we will manage him and see how it is. So that's going to be one to watch moving forward, because so far what Rob Edwards has, you know, got the fans on side with is his honesty in press conferences and telling the truth and not having these mystic press conferences where he's back on the grass, he's not on the grass, Michael Carrick-esque press conferences. He's always sort of told the truth, Rob Edwards. So were you a little surprised by his comments after the game, Simon, regarding Darragh Lenihan not being available for selection, playing the 90 minutes of Preston, not being even on the bench, and then being told after the match that he's actually not injured and we're just managing him?
So just to back up what you said, I think his press conferences so far been brilliant. We should definitely touch upon the Morgan Whittaker comment at some point and how that impacted on the fans last night. I think his man management, his way he's communicated with the fans has been, I think it's what's warmed a lot of fans to him, to be honest. My sort of takeaway was he was being very sensitive to the player. He definitely wasn't giving everything away, but he was very guarded and careful in what he was saying. You know, he took a bit more time than usual to answer those questions, and I don't think he wanted to say anything out of turn. The reading of the situation, we can only surmise and guess, is that there has been some after effect, whether it's psychological. I imagine when you've got an Achilles injury, it's, you know, from what I've been told, it's one of the worst injuries you can have as a footballer. There might be a bit of that there. You know, he might be feeling something, but it's not been diagnosed as an injury, but he doesn't quite feel right in himself. So, yeah, it's clearly a concern. And I think we probably always thought it would be a concern with an injury of that type, to be honest. I don't think many fans were getting carried away that we're suddenly going to have Lenihan back for every game of the season this year. I think most of us probably suspected it's going to be another tough year for him. But yeah, it's a tricky one. I get the feeling that as soon as he knows, he will tell us, and, you know, it will come out in a press conference quite soon. But I just felt he was protecting the player, and understandably so. That's his job.
Yeah, Grabe, your take on the press conference?
Yeah, I think Simon summed that up eloquently, really. The only thing I would add is I think Rob Edwards possibly might have heard something last night regarding the injury that he didn't want to hear. It probably does sound a little bit grim, if I'm honest. There's got to be an after effect, like you say, whether it's psychological or physiological. We don't know yet. Like you said, the sooner he hears something, I'm sure he'll be transparent with supporters and inform, and maybe put out a little press release regarding his progress. But yeah, he's definitely protecting the player, and I think there's something untoward with that horrendous long-term injury. I feel so sorry for him because he played ever so well last week. I was surprised that he actually came through the game. I did mention it on the pod, and that was the big takeaway for me last week about Darragh Lennon was he played 90 minutes. So well done to Darragh. Let's hope he's all right. Fingers crossed. Let's hope it's not too bad and Edwards is protecting him and guarding him. But I don't know. The cynic in me, miserable old git, suggests that it isn't great.
Yeah, that's my thoughts. There's something he's not quite right. Hopefully, it's not too serious. Maybe he has got a niggle or an after effect, but it's one that might drag on for a few weeks. And like Simon says, he's just protecting the player because he doesn't want to come out and say he's injured again, which makes all the fans think negatively about Lenihan. He's not going to be up to it this season. Maybe he's just protecting the player. It's a niggle. He might be back in a few weeks' time, but there's no need to rush him as long as Edmondson's back fit, as long as Dale Fry comes back in a week or two. Maybe he's just protecting him. So
he's probably aware of the to and fro and the ongoing relationship with supporters and Riley McGree. You know, we all want him to play, but we never see him play. So there's maybe a little parallel there as well. But who knows? We're surmising. Until we know more, then we can't really comment too much on it.
Yeah, spot on. Rob Edwards, we're just talking about his psychology. Rob Edwards' psychology, for me, keeping players happy. Sammy Silvera comes to mind. You know, he took the opportunity to take Sammy out the team when he had been playing for Australia after doing well, but it come at the right time when he had Matt Targett available. Clever management, that. He also, David Strelec and Kaly Sene, he's rotated them the last 2 games, keeping them both happy. I don't think Sene was happy to be taken off at Preston, but he's buttered them up nicely yesterday by taking off Strelec and bringing on Kaly Sene. Keeps them both happy. Alpha Kanti, he came on against Swansea and Millwall, then he was benched for Norwich, he was benched for Preston, but then he come back on last night. And now the Morgan Whittaker situation, you know, he's got enough in the bank with the fans to come out and protect Morgan Whittaker with the fans last week. Takes him out the team last night, which was also what he probably wanted to do anyway because how well Napan's playing and bringing Strelec in, but he used that opportunity to bring him out the team. But then he brings Whittaker on last night at the right time when we're winning, gets a standing ovation, gets all the crowd singing his name. Brilliant psychology from the manager, Graham.
Fantastic. At the moment, he's been pretty faultless. He's sort of like the teacher that everybody likes at school. You know, if you're in his lesson, you're like, get in. We've got Mr. Edwards today. He's brilliant. He gets on with everybody. That's his persona. You can't knock that. It's working a treat for him. And the longer he continues in that vein, then it's going to be beneficial to us as fans because we're watching a good team. And if you're a player, you want to play for him, don't you? And I'm sure when he pulls players off, he'll give them a reason straight away why. You see him when he goes straight up to the play, whispers in the ear, gives them a pat on the back. He'll tell them a little bit more in the dressing room afterwards, I'm pretty certain. And I'm sure he's one of them managers that says, you know, my door's always open. It probably is. Some managers say that, but they don't entertain any players because they can't be bothered. But I think with Edwards, his brief is to endear himself to his players. Because if you do that, you're going to get the best out of them. And so far, it's working a treat.
Simon, do you agree with what I've said there around the psychology of the players? He's got a big squad, a talented squad. He's looking at the bench and he's got some really, you know, good footballers and international footballers sitting there to keep them all happy. Do you think he's using his psychology to roll on, roll off, to keep them all on board?
Yeah, I think the teacher analogy is brilliant from Graham because I think of his players as being his pupils.
I said that because you're a teacher side.
Yeah, well. and the fans as being the parents because you have to keep them on side as well because they'll soon tell you if you're not doing a good job as the teacher in the same way that the kids won't perform. So,
correct.
Yeah, I thought the Whittaker one, we talked about it before, the game was fascinating. I immediately thought, and I listened to the podcast last week where Graham said he backed himself into a corner a little bit. My immediate thoughts were he knows he's not playing Friday night. He'd already made that decision by the end of the Preston game. He probably had made that before the Preston game. I think they probably earmarked this as the Strelec, Conway, Napan game. And he knew he would want to bring him on. So I think he nipped it in the bud quite quickly, really bigged up Whittaker, almost said, I'm making this decision. You're not making it, fans. If I decide to drop him, it's because I want to drop him, not because he's been booed from the sidelines. And I think he almost reminded in a really subtle way that he's the boss, he's in charge, but we need your help and we need your help and we need your help. So I think he's been very, very clever. And, you know, I'm going to openly admit now, when we first appointed him, I've not been in the show since since the start of the season. I was a little bit reserved. I wasn't quite sure. It was hard to look away from what he'd done at Luton last season. Obviously, he'd done well the seasons before that, but I think he's been a breath of fresh air. He's from day one. He's slowly and slowly got more and more fans on the side, and yeah, I think he's been brilliant. Really, really good.
I think his break from football after he left Luton has benefited Middlesbrough. I think it's re-energised him. He's come back with a clear idea. I remember him talking about how in the Premier League, footballers are running sort of the sprints 20% more in the Premier League than they do in the Championship. Them high energy bursts of pace, and he found it tough when he first went to the Premier League with Luton because his players weren't up to it until he got them up to speed. Using analysis and all the rest of it to see how far players run, how quick they're running. And he sort of wanted to bring that to Middlesbrough. So he's brought the Premier League database analysis on players and what they need to run to be a top team. He's brought that to Middlesbrough. And that's why I think he's wanted a big squad to be able to change it because, for an example, Tommy Conway, he runs the hard yards, as we know. But he's knackered playing Rob Edwards' way after about 60, 65 minutes. He's ran his race. But that's what Rob Edwards wants, and he comes off, and on comes on Strelec or Kaly Sene or whoever to keep the Middlesbrough running stats and intensity into the team, a Rob Edwards team. And I think he's come away from football, thought about when he comes back to football, how he wants his team to play, what he needs. And I think Middlesbrough and him have been a perfect fit because he looked at Middlesbrough. They're the biggest team he's ever managed. They tick every box from stadium to training ground to fan base to passion for what he wants, and it's just been like so far like a marriage made in heaven. I think it's really, really working well. I was going to come to you, Graham. We've just mentioned all his psychology regarding how he manages the players, keeps them all happy. Do you think moving forward, Middlesbrough are going to revert back to having a strongest 11 though under Rob Edwards, or do you think it's going to be this squad-based system that's been so great the first 6 games with 15, 16 players being involved in most of the match day squads and games getting on off the bench? Or do you think he's going to revert back to what most managers do as the season progresses, as it gets more, to the pointy end of the season? Is he going to have the strongest 11 that we'll, like Karanka used to, you could name your starting players? Do you think that'll ever happen under Rob Edwards, or do you think we'll just continue as we are?
I'll be honest, I think we'll continue as we are. I think that's his mantra. He wants to get everybody involved. He's that sort of person. Like I mentioned, the teacher analogy, he wants everybody involved. You don't want any moody people in the background, stirring up trouble. He wants everybody to get game time. He wants everybody to contribute. He wants that joyous environment that everybody wants to come to work for and work with. So I think he'll continue the way we're going. I don't think he'll look too far ahead in terms of can we get promotion. I think that's nonsense. I think he's just taking each game as it comes. I know it's a terrible cliche, but that's pretty much what he's doing. He's looking at the opposition. He'd be like, right, Southampton next. How are we going to combat them? So that'll be his thought first and foremost. The next game, and then it'll take care of itself. I mean, beyond my wildest dreams, they would be top of the league. Dear me. I had his earmarked for about 14th, 15th at this stage, and probably most of the season, if I'm honest. I just did not see this coming. It makes you think, how long has he been watching us to have such a level of impact? I mean, I know it seemed to be like a hastily arranged decision, but he must have been watching us longer than the few days it took him to sort of come in and turn this lot around, because we were a shambles at back end of last season, and it's honestly what he's done is absolutely phenomenal. I can't believe the turnaround, miraculous almost. We're a completely different side. We're a different setup. The bond between supporters and players is back. Suddenly fans want to come to the games again because they're watching a team which isn't going to get beat and isn't going to roll over and have its belly tickled every week, which is what was happening. I was always a Carrick fan. I loved the way he played football. Probably the best football I've seen us play as a Middlesbrough team. However, there were frailties. He seems to be finding that balance at the moment. And the thing that pleases me most is when he came in, he addressed the problems quickly, which gets back to my point. How long has he been watching us to know quickly like that how to change us almost overnight? Obviously, the backroom team he's brought in have had an eye on things as well, I think, and it's not taken them too long. Particularly somebody like Vivi Ash, who Si alluded to, the wise old owl. Great having a guy like that around, because he'll pick off things like that straight away. He'll say, "Why are you leaking so many goals, Michael? That's your problem." And he never addressed that, yet Edwards has come in, and that's the first thing he's addressed. He's got a spine. Maddo mentioned last week the Teesside spine. Bryn, Fry, Hackney. How good is that? 3 homegrown players playing for our team. A team that's
Got a
top
nice
of the
mix
league.
somewhere now.
We've got a brilliant
nice mix of,
yeah.
We've got the experienced pros, we've got the local lads in the team, and we've got a little bit of stardust, which is a fantastic mix. Simon, do you agree with Graham? Do you think Rob Edwards moving forward, he'll continue as he is, using the squad-based system, keeping everybody happy? Or do you think things could change moving forward? Because when you come up against the big teams in the league, whether it be a Leicester City or a Southampton, the bigger teams in the league, surely it comes a time when you've got to start picking your strongest 11 to get these points in the bag if you're going to go for the automatics.
Yeah, I think you refer back to the Cranker days. I think the good thing about the Cranker days, that back four and that midfield two are Ledbetter and Clates, like they pick themselves every week. Where he did rotate was the front attacking 4 players. And I think moving forward, I think if you were to pin him down now, I think the back 5, I think he probably knows his best back 5. I think he knows his best 2 central midfielders. I don't think he yet knows the right combination, which is why I raised the point earlier, whether it's the shape of the front 3 or whether it's the actual personnel there. I think it will settle down a bit, if I'm being honest. And I think we'll see plenty of substitutions in games in the front attacking 2, 3, 4 players. But I think behind that, other than injuries, we've touched upon the centre-back, a bit of a concern. We're running short quite quickly
3
there.
out already.
Yeah, but I think, we talked about Man United. My biggest frustration, if I was a Man United fan, changing centre-halves after 70 minutes, it baffles me. It absolutely baffles me how you change 2 of your 3 centre-backs every game. I think the best teams, the back 4 or the back 5 stays fairly rigid, doesn't change very often. The midfield 2, fairly consistent, where you might tinker a bit up front. So I think there'll be less change moving forward. I just don't think he's quite got that combination right yet up top.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point you've made, Simon. I tend to agree. I think that's his conundrum. How can I get the front 4, the wide players, how can I get them in a system that's fluent? Because it's, Preston, it wasn't fluent. Last night, it wasn't fluent. But you've got these players, that they haven't been here long, like Kaly Sene and Strelec. They need time to bed in. I think he said in his interview last night, we've got some foreign players, that need time to settle. So I think once they've been given time and time to settle in, I've got a feeling moving forward, probably around Christmas time, is Middlesbrough fans will probably be able to pick his starting 11 most weeks if people are fit.
I was just about to say that, Dicko. You'd hope so, but injuries, yeah.
Apart from the Boro meme.
If we lose either of Morris or Hackney, I think I wouldn't say we're in trouble, but I don't think we'll be sailing along as comfortably as we are now. That will be
Malanda can't come quick enough from the USA. That's what we need, him on the plane as soon as possible. Get him across.
Just on the midfield too, a shout out to Brown, who obviously come on as soon as he scored that second goal last night. You know what? We've chatted about the meme that's Barlassa many times, but just the refreshingness of bringing Alan Brown on when we need some solidity in midfield. I thought he was brilliant when he came on, to be honest. He got stuck in. You can just see he's a really experienced. Again, we've talked about the personalities we brought in, your Britons, your Alfie Jones. Like, there's a slightly different DNA, I think, in the British-based players that we brought in this season.
Great point.
And he typified that when he came on, I thought.
Absolutely. He's a huge upgrade on Barlassa as well. He's a total shift change to what's coming on. He's a driving force. He's a leader. You can see he's forward thinking. The first thing he done, he come on, was play a great ball out wide to the left. He made an impact when he come on at Preston. Straight away when he come on, you can see him galvanising players around him. He's a really, really great squad player to bring in for us to have on the bench. We're really lucky to have him, in my opinion, because I think he probably gets a game for probably starting position for 3/4 of the championship anyway. So for us to have him to come on to replace a Tyre and Hackney or Morris, or if I have an injury situation, it's fantastic.
At that point, Dicko, he came on last night. I would say we were getting gobbled up a little bit in the middle of the park. There was a 3-on-2, Hackney and Morris. I wouldn't say they were struggling, but they were tiring. And their system change just enabled them to get a grip of that midfield, which we'd pretty much ran all night. Him coming on, it just meant 3 for 3, and we won that battle. But again, in Alan Brown's defence, I'll use the word defence because we were defending to the last seconds. The ball drops in. I think it ricocheted off. It might have been Morris, and he had time to actually play it out. But he thought, if I can kill this ball and knock it 25, 30 yards up the pitch, I'll kill a few seconds, and that's what he did. He just put it out to play, hit the ball towards the West Bromwich Albion fans, and it went out to play, and it killed us 20 seconds, and the whistle went a couple of seconds after that. So just little things like that. Streetwise players, we've lacked streetwise players for a long, long time. We've got a lot now. We've got the housery, and now we've got the streetwise players as well. Ayling again, going down, took one for the team, took one right in the guts. Normally, he'd probably just get up from that, and he's probably thinking, if I stay down here, boys, you've got at least 25 seconds to go and get a drink of water and have a quick word with the manager, and that's what they did. So, again, just little things like that you notice that some fans possibly don't if they're sat in different areas of the pitch. Like Si mentioned, he was sat near the bench, so he knew exactly what was going to happen before it actually happened, which is brilliant. And it's great to hear him talk about Harry Watling being so vocal, being the attack dog, winding up the opposition. And then you've got somebody like the wise old owl in Viviash who knows exactly what's going to happen in the game and when to make that decision. So Rob Edwards is backed by some seriously good candidates now.
So we've waxed lyrical about Rob Edwards, the players. We're top of the championship. I think after 6 games and 16 points, I'm within my rights to ask this question. Can Middlesbrough genuinely compete now for automatic spots, the top 2? We've got some contenders. It's going to be a tough season. You've got Stoke City, who are doing well, a good start, the same as us. Bristol City have had a good start. Obviously, they've got to play today. You've got the bigger fish there in your Leicester Cities, your Southamptons. Birmingham looks strong when they've come up. You've got Coventry City, who are always going to be there. West Bromwich Albion last night, and dare I say it, even though the bottom of the league, Chris Wilder now at Sheffield United, will probably get a tune out of them, and they'll start climbing the table. I'll start with you, Simon. Are Middlesbrough genuine top 2 contenders this season?
I think they have to be now, and I can't believe I'm saying it because I like Bandy. I had them 12th to 15th before what was a very good window, I have to say. That
transformed
to Kieran Scott
dramatically, didn't it?
I've been a critic of his, but you can't, I think this club had an amazing window combined with Edwards. And 2 reasons for it. One, our form and the squad we built, Dicko. But number 2, having watched, fortunate to watch quite a bit of football. My wife would probably say too much. I don't think there's real standout teams in the Championship this year. I made a call on Leeds United after about 5 games last season. They were just, in my opinion, streets above everybody else. Sunderland were a bit of a shock. Burnley again, first time we played Burnley, I thought they were a class apart. I've not seen anything yet to really go, okay. Now, I expect Southampton and Ipswich to be up there, and if you were to tell me now who I think the top 2 would be, it would be those 2 teams because of the money they've got or spent. But I do think we're genuine contenders, and teams won't want to play us. They really won't want to come to the Riverside. We're going to make it a fortress this year by the looks of it. So, yeah, I think we are. I think we have to be.
Yeah, I agree. Graham, do you agree with Simon, or do you think Middlesbrough maybe are still looking at obtaining a playoff spot, or do you think now with the players Rob Edwards has brought in, the quality we've got, there's money there, we could still buy again and strengthen in January. You've got Malanda coming in January, who's going to be a big player for. Can we keep this momentum up and keep ourselves challenging not just top 6 but top 2?
Yes, yeah. I'd be foolish to suggest otherwise. Last season, my thought process was probably misguided because the players just weren't good enough to do it. Now we have the personnel to actually mount a serious assault on that top 2. Playoffs should be the bare minimum, really, after the start we've had. I mean, that gives us hope for the future that I think we know we're going to be in for a good season, a far better season than the one we had last season. And pre-season was very, very doom and gloom. Edwards has come in and he's basically transformed fortunes and players overnight. Like I say, it's a miraculous turnaround, and it gives us massive hope to suggest that yes, we should be trying to get in that top 2. We should be trying to win the league. If you look at it as it is now in black and white, we are top of the league, 16 points from 6 games. Dropped 2 points. That's unbelievable. Best
And
record ever.
I
And
think
we've had a
It's
tough.
stunning.
I think a caveat as well to put in there, Bandy, is we've had a tough start as well.
We've
We
had a
haven't
very
had it
tough
easy.
start.
If you look at the teams we've played, they're all up in the top 10, apart from Sheffield United. They're all up in the top 10. I mean, Swansea was supposed to be the easy game. They could be in the playoffs after today. The teams we've played have all been tough games. Preston away, Norwich away, difficult games. Sheffield United have had a poor start, but they're a quality side. Had them. We haven't had it easy, so to be top. You'd like to think as the season progresses, the fixtures will get a little bit kinder for Middlesbrough as well.
Yeah. You'd like to think that they're actually looking at players now for January, just to plan ahead. God forbid we don't lose Hackney in January, because that could derail us, but we don't want that nonsense coming up again. If he's staying now, then he should be staying till May, and he should be celebrating on that pitch at the end of the season with us. But let's just see how we go week by week. I'm not looking too far ahead. I normally judge the table after maybe 10, 12 games, but since this new CFAX app has arrived, I'm getting a little bit giddy now, so I can't stop looking at it. I'm just opening it up. I'm just sat there staring at it in silence, thinking, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. We're top of the league. It's ridiculous. We shouldn't be top of the league, because we had no right to be, judging by what was going on in pre-season. It was a shambles. Now he's come in and he's waved his little magic wand and he's turned into some sort of wizard. It's amazing. Honestly, it's really good. I do think Southampton and Ipswich will jump up the table, and certainly Chris Wilder will get Sheffield United going. They've got some really, really good players. You could see that the other night when we beat them 1-0. They have good players, but at that point they didn't have a good team, because they were an absolute mess. That manager didn't know what to do with the players he had at his disposal. Wilder will fine-tune them within a couple of weeks, and they'll be mid-table. And then before you know it, if we drop a few points, they'll be behind us. Trust me.
Yeah. I'm still pretending that I'm too young to know what CFAX is. I know it's my birthday today. I'm just pretending that, but I couldn't tell you what I don't know what you're on about. So, I'm just gonna. I mentioned on last week's podcast that we're going to give away 2 pairs of tickets for Stoke on the Tuesday night on the 30th of September. I said I was going to put something out on the socials. I haven't done that. Apologies. That's going to go out today on the socials. That'll get out there. So 2 pairs of tickets for Stoke on the 30th of September. That'll be out on the socials today when you're watching this podcast or listen to this podcast. Go and have a look on the Typical Boro on X, on Facebook. And if you're following us on X and Facebook and retweet the prize draw tweet or message, you'll be entered twice. So get on Facebook and follow us on X, and we'll put you in the draw twice for free for the chance to win 2 pairs of tickets for Stoke City. So our next game, Southampton. Guys, before the next international break, we'll have Southampton away, we'll have Stoke at home, which I've just mentioned, and Portsmouth away. Then we've got another international break coming up, which is a bit of a pain when we're doing so well. However, what would you think would be an acceptable points total to go into that next international break from the 3 games we've got? Because we've started so well, we've got a little bit of a cushion, I would like to say. 2 away games, tough, two long journeys down the south coast to Southampton and Portsmouth. What would be acceptable in your eyes, Graham?
I think you've got to be looking at 3 points at home and avoiding defeat in both away games. If you pick up anything more than that, it'd be absolutely brilliant. But there's no reason, the way we're playing, and we can catch these teams off guard, because they've had stuttering starts. Both Southampton and Pompey, they're a bit erratic. Stoke are up there with us. They're a good side, so they'll come looking to win. It's an early part of the season. They've got nothing to lose at this stage. They'll be coming to try and beat us. Mark Robbins is, as we know, he's a very enterprising manager. He won't be coming to settle on a point. He'll be coming to try and beat us, and they're playing really well. So that'll be a hell of a game. It'll be a brilliant game. Another big game so early in the season, but we're setting the tone. So 3 points against Stoke, hopefully. That should be the aim. And as I say, let's just avoid defeat. Don't get beat. Southampton's a tough place to go. They're going to be up there, I'm sure. Portsmouth, always tough. You just never know what you're going to get there. So 5 points. That'll see us probably still top after them games if we can avoid defeat in any of them.
Do you agree with Bandy saying that 5 points would be the sort of minimum we'd be looking at going into these 3 games? And also, I know it's Southampton away, which is a tough game, ex-Premiership side. And then Stoke, who are flying as well next. But is Middlesbrough playing these big games and tough games is it suiting Middlesbrough because we've got big game players, and it also the fans are up for it because it feels like a big occasion when we play Stoke at the Riverside next, for example. It's going to be a big game. It could be first versus second on the night. Who knows the way the results go? Are these big games actually suiting Middlesbrough, but rather than worry about what we're going to do when we play teams down the bottom? Is actually playing the big teams now suiting Middlesbrough for the momentum?
Yeah, I think so. I think, as you said, I think the 3 tough games, to be honest. Interestingly, doing the maths, I think if we average 2 points every game between now and the end of the season, we'll get 96 points. So I'm going to say 6 points in 3 games, guarantee the top 2. I think that could be 2 wins and a loss. Let's see. The negative in me thinks we're going to lose eventually. So if we're going to lose 1, let's win the other 2. I think actually you mentioned quite a bit about playing the top teams, and I do think that's really suiting us. Actually, the real test, and we know this happened a lot last season, season before, are those games where you do expect to just roll up and win 2 or 3-0. And actually, it's going to be really interesting how, dare I say it, when we play Sheff Wed, Oxford, actually, a real test of this character of this team is turning up on those games as well. I think it's probably easier sometimes to turn up as a pro on a busy Friday night at the Riverside against a team. It's live on Sky. So with that in mind, because I think these are 3 tough games, I think we'll do well. I'm going to say 6, which the maths means obviously winning 2, losing 1. But yeah, I could see us going undefeated as well quite easily in those 3 games.
Is it important to go undefeated, Simon? Would you rather Middlesbrough got 5 points, like what Bandy's saying, and stayed undefeated, or would you rather? I know this sounds a ridiculous question because you don't.
Yeah.
Normally you go for the most, but you get me, gist.
It's momentum, though, innit?
If we keep unbeaten and get 5 points, is that more important than actually getting 6 points and losing 1?
I think if the loss is against Southampton, then 5 points is better because I do think they'll be up there at the top. So if you get my gist, if we're only getting 1, they're only getting 1, not 3. So I think I'd settle for 5. I think the fact it's undefeated from the start of the season, and I think you quoted some of the stats at the beginning, the first time in our history we've ever won 5 games out of our first 6, which is amazing for a club of our history. I'd love to keep that unbeaten run going for as long as we can. So yeah, I agree with Bandy. I think that they won't want to lose that record. The moment you lose 1, that record's gone, hasn't it? We're not undefeated. Yeah. So yeah, I think actually because of the stage of the season and the fact we haven't lost yet, that 5 points, yes, psychologically might be more powerful.
Reminds me a bit of, remember when we had Dimmy in goal and we went on that run, that the number of consecutive clean sheets, the longer that goes on, you think, will it happen this week? No, it didn't. We got another clean sheet. Then we move on to the next game. Then we move on to the next game. And before you know it, you're 10 games in. You're like, wow, we've not let a goal in here. We've not got beat. So momentum for me is massive. Looking at Liverpool, how many last-minute winners? They've got a last-minute winner in 6 games. Crazy. And they'll probably get one a day against Everton. So, nuts. Fair play to them. But they're finding a way, and we're finding a way not to get beat.
I think the players take a pride as well when they have these
100%. Yeah.
Things to go for, whether it be a clean sheet, whether it be an unbeaten run, whatever it is. I think the players take a pride in it, and I think the players will be wanting to keep this unbeaten run going as long as they can as well, for the very reason both of you guys have give. Yeah. Before we finish, just going to do some, because there's a couple of questions come in for you to answer, so try and sneak them in before we finish. I'll come to you for this one, Simon. Paul McLean. Hi lads, cracking result last night. Morris, Aylan and Napan stood out for me, but the whole team were brilliant. One question: 3 centre-backs injured. Are we right to be concerned? The tough games keep on coming. Southampton, Stoke next.
Yeah, I think it's a little concern, particularly if we get more news on Lenihan that he's out for a while. Fry, I don't think you can ever hang your hat on, unfortunately, as somebody's going to play 30, 40 games. So yeah, definitely a little bit of a worry. I thought Target actually slotted in great last night and gave us quite a nice left-footed balance of the left of the 3. But yeah, one more injury back there. Hopefully Edmondson's isn't long-term. He should be back maybe at the weekend. But yes, definitely a bit of a worry. Considering we've talked a lot about how good the squad is, it is a concern that we're already running quite thin at in those back 3 positions.
Graham, question for you from Matty Hines. Worry about any worry about the slight, and I mean slight, lack of creativity and teams not taking their chances against us? West Brom had a few good ones last night, and Sheffield United missed a tap-in back stick. I think we look very good. and think it'll come personally. So he's worrying. Do you worry about the slight lack of creativity in the team, or do you not see that?
The slight lack of creativity in our team?
Yes, yeah.
As in, we're not creating enough chances, we're not scoring enough goals?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say to worry, but it would be something I'd try and fine-tune and get a little bit more out of. But as Simon alluded to earlier, that front three dynamic is not quite settled on yet. We might find that formula, and back to what we were saying, we might stick with that. At the moment, I don't think we're not uncreative. We're just probably not. We're not creating that many chances to actually miss. But the ones we are creating, we're actually clinical and we're actually taking them. So at the moment, we're doing well enough. In terms of teams getting chances against us, you mentioned about West Brom had a few chances and Sheffield United missed one at the back stick, which is right. However, I do think that the law of averages in any game, the opposition are going to create chances against you. It doesn't matter how good you are. Newcastle got chances against Barcelona and didn't stick them away. And then they got punished later on in the game. We didn't get punished, but we went up the other end and punished other teams. So that doesn't concern me too much. And the creativity problem isn't that much of a problem. I think we're maybe trying to find a problem when there isn't any at the moment. If you look at the problems we had last season,
Great point.
If you look at the problems we had last season compared to the problems we have now, it's chalk and cheese, isn't it?
That's a brilliant point you've made there. It's a typical
Let's
Boro.
not find problems.
It's a typical Boro in assault in our DNA. There's no problems. We're unbeaten. We've just won top of the league. We've won on Friday night. The 28,000 fans there. We're smashing everybody apart. Nobody can touch you. But are we creating enough?
Yeah.
Simon, last question for you from Phil R. What do you think has had the bigger influence on the season start? If you could only pick one, and I'll do both of you on this. If you could only pick one, Rob, Adi Viviash and Harry Watling, or the new players arriving. So what's had the biggest influence for you, Simon? If you had to only pick one, would you go the manager and the coaching staff, or would you go the new players?
I'd have to, again, going back to where I was sat last night and watching it, I think the coaching staff we brought in, because of the impact they've also had on players like Ayling, like Morris, like Hackney, like Silvera, that were already there, like Bryn. So the new players have been great, but the impact the coaches have also had on the players that were already in our squad with the change of shape, I think they've had the biggest impact so far.
Graham?
Interesting. You could go either way with this. I'm going to go the other way, purely because of the quality and calibre of player we've brought in. That has given us the platform. Callum Britton, Alfie Jones, Matt Targett. You can hang your hat on them every single day of the week. Could we say that last season about the personnel at the back? Absolutely not. So for me, that gives the platform for the creative players to go and do their stuff. Lose the ball. Try things, because if you lose the ball, you've got a platform behind you that are going to mop up anyway. So I think he's brought the right type of players in, and they've probably impressed him more than he thought he was going to be impressed by them, if that makes sense. They're better than he thought they were. They're absolutely brilliant.
I think the honest answer is it's a combination of the two,
yeah,
isn't it?
It is, because you could say, well, Rob Edwards found them players, but I just think they've come in and every single player's delivered. There's not one player he's brought in who we're thinking, I'm not sure about him. Obviously, Whittaker, he didn't bring him in, but we're still waiting on him to get some momentum and put a little run together. Against Silvera, I wrote Silvera off. I thought he was awful. And he's come back a completely different player. He's been given a chance in a new role, and he's staked a claim. He was good when he come on last night. Came into a red-hot atmosphere, a tough game for him to come on. He played first 5-10 minutes. I thought, he's a bit rusty here. And then he regrouped, gathered his thoughts, and he was brilliant after that. So testament to him and testament to every single player that Edwards has brought in, because they're buying into what he wants them to do, and they're all performing. And we're getting game time out of them. So
I think
that's key.
I think they draw a conclusion, like Simon said, it's an impossible one. It's a 50-50 between the players.
It's a good
and
question.
Rob Edwards. But to quote a certain Mr. John Cutler, which I can hear him screaming in my ear now, saying, "You can't polish a turd." So I do think the quality of the players notching up a level is huge, along with Rob Edwards. Bandy, you won't be on the podcast next Sunday. Would you like to tell the listeners and the viewers why?
I'm at an exhibition. I've got an exhibition out in France. So it's called Qui est Kia? Who is Kia? And I've got 26 Keir Starmer cartoons being exhibited. So it's my duty. I didn't organise it. It's done by other organisers. It's an international cartoon and caricature exhibition. It's the 44th one in the world, and it's been going that long. And I've been invited over, so I'll just be hovering about, eating cheese, drinking wine, and talking to people. Sounds pretty good to me. And hopefully I'll be able to tune into the Southampton game somehow, because that'll do my nutting not being able to see that.
So Bandy's not here next week. He's off hobnobbing. He's off having his wine. He's off having his cheese. Fantastic. Mr. Cutler will be back next week alongside me, and we will be joined by a certain Mr. John Henry on the podcast.
Yes.
Next week. So get tuned in for next week to listen to what John Henry has to say.
Not a bad sub, that is it, eh?
It's a good substitution. And if you have any questions for John, we'll put something out in the socials and you can get your questions in for John Henry on all things Middlesbrough. So that's it for another week. Thank you, Simon, for coming on. You've been a star.
Oh, cheers,
Class,
guys. Been a pleasure.
Bandy, pleasure as always. Enjoy yourself in France.
I will do. Enjoy your birthday, wherever you're getting up to.
Yeah,
I'm going out to celebrate in Newcastle with this on. Absolutely 100%. So that's it, Boro fans. Remember, don't see a typical Boro. Watch it, listen to it, and we will see you again next Sunday with John Henry. Up the Boro.
Up the Boro.
Up the Boro.